He's in the middle of the gym with a vial and a needle. And this is allowed on Instagram. And frankly, I don't care if this kid is 26, 36. I've never been at the gym with a vial and a needle and shown a video and tried to glorify drug use. Coach Greg, and in today's video, we have a 16-year-old who's on steroids, and not only that, he's bragging about it to the world. Literally injecting it in the middle of the gym. They need to kick these kids out. They shouldn't allow this on social media. It starts with his name, Tren. Where do you think he comes up with his name? Do you think maybe he was influenced by the Tren twins? What do you think is happening? People see their idols and they're using steroids, and so they're motivated to do the same. And they're thinking, well, why would I wait? I want to be famous right now. And the younger they use steroids, the bigger advantage they have. And so social media, of course, it shows the top 1% of the 1%. And so, of course, if you're 16 years old and you're on steroids, people are going to notice you. Your physique is going to have more muscle than everyone else. You're going to be bigger than everyone, but you're going to suffer the consequences. And so it might seem like a good idea right now, but your brain, it hasn't even finished developing. And so I'm certain this kid is going to get a whole bunch of followers. People are going to be looking up to him. But where are his parents? And so parents, shame on you. Maybe he has no parents. And for that, I feel bad for him. But if you're a parent and you're watching this right now, you need to tell your kid you're deleting that account and you're going to stop taking steroids. You're the parents. You put down the rules. If they want to live in your house, it's under your rules. They can't use illegal steroids when they're 16. They're not ready. Don't allow them to do this. How is this different than if your 16-year-old posted a video and said, I'm sniffing creatine? Perhaps even just drinking alcohol. I mean, what's the big deal? Well, it's a class 1 carcinogenic. It's literally poison. And so how do you let your kids poison themselves? Like, you have one job as a parent, the main job. Well, I guess you have more than one, but I would consider one of the main jobs as a parent is to make your kids be safe, to protect them. This is why you had kids in the first place. This is your job as a parent. Now, I don't have kids, but if I did, I think that I would try to protect them from harm's way. And that includes doing harm to themselves. 16 years old, 500 tests, and 50 megs of Anavar. This is the dad cycle. Did he in fact watch Coach Greg and Al Dura discuss and debate whether or not people should use performance-enhancing drugs? Al Dura said,
more testosterone than last time.
I said, I think everyone should experience living 10 years longer than last time. He says, no, you would trade everything in order to have what you have. He said, we're millionaires, we're famous, and it's all from testosterone. When you're sick and you're not healthy and you've taken years off your life, you would trade every penny, every cent you've ever had in order to get that time back. If you have $100 billion and you know that you could give that money away to get your health back, you would. And so when you use performance-enhancing drugs, 500 milligrams of test and 50 milligrams of Anavar at 16, you're taking years away from your life. You're starting way too young. Your brain isn't even finished developing. Did this kid watch Coach Greg and Dura's debate? And perhaps I didn't win the debate. And so Dura won, and the result of that, he's on the dad cycle. Now remember, Dura said dad cycle, not sun cycle. This is for your dad. And regardless of that, this is a lot. I'm on HRT, 140 milligrams of test a week. This kid's on over triple my dose of testosterone and on 50 milligrams of Anavar. And that's a day. It's not in a week. He's 16. He doesn't need this. Even if he thought he needed it, the dose is way too high. It's ridiculous. Even if I were coaching a bodybuilder and said, you know, a guy was in his late 20s, 30s, whatever, and he says, I'm going to do my first cycle. I'm going to do 500 milligrams of test and 50 Anavar. It's too much. That is perhaps the second cycle, although I could think of better. It's not a beginner cycle, and a 15, 16, 17, 18, whatever age you are, it's too much. I do believe it's similar to what Chris Bumstead did at his first cycle at 18. It's too much. The physique is ridiculous. It looks amazing, but it's a physique of a 26-year-old, not a 16-year-old. If he was 100% natural, I still think he would have a great physique. You don't need to do this in order to stand out. You don't need this. It's sad that people this young think they need to take steroids in order to be seen or to be noticed by the rest of the world. It really is sad. I don't understand how this is happening, where the parents are, the friends. It keeps on getting worse. I mean, he flexes, he goes through his pose, he looks great, and he gives the camera the finger, look how cool I am. He rebels, probably gets more girls, and when he's 18, people are going to not care. At 16, oh, it's too young, but at 18, they're going to cheer for him. Oh, yeah, you should win a bodybuilding contest. It's cool because you want to be a bodybuilder. The only reason he has that much muscle is because he's abused steroids for several years. Do it natural first. And you're going to say, I'm a hypocrite because I use steroids. I was in my 30s when I started. I did 42 shows natural first. And so if you can wait it out until you're in your 30s and compete, not 42 times, let's call it 5 times natural first. And then you decide to do it. Well, you're a grown adult. You make your own decisions. Perhaps you'll regret them when you're older, like myself at 49, regret taking steroids. But at least you waited. But at 16, I don't think there's anyone that can argue with me and make a point and say, yeah, that's a smart move. He should start right now. I don't care how good his genetics are. I don't care if he's the next Mr. Olympia. He could wait. And so if this 16-year-old says, I just love bodybuilding so much that I'm willing to risk my health, it takes even more courage to love it so much that you're not going to take those drugs, even though you know if you take them that you'll win. That really takes courage. It's a lot easier to be C-Bum or Sam Sulek or the Tren twins, Larry Wheels. You go down the list and take the steroids and get the physique and get the admiration from your fans, from your followers and so on. But to not do it and stay smaller, knowing that if you take those drugs, you could win right now. You have to have a lot of self-esteem, self-courage, self-love to not do and take the things that are going to hurt your health, but that are going to give you an immediate reward. 42 shows natural. I knew after every single one of those shows that if I took the things, that I would have an immediately much better physique. It's hard to not take it. It was hard not to take it, and eventually I did. Once I reached my natural genetic limit and I couldn't get any better, I decided I'm going to use performance-enhancing drugs. And did it work? Yep, I won my pro card. But I didn't start at 18. I didn't start at 19. I didn't start at 28 or 29. I waited till I was older. This kid is 16. Bro, that's still achievable naturally. It really pisses me off because, yeah, it's possible to get that physique naturally. There's maybe 1 in 10 or 100 million that can get that at 16 naturally. He couldn't. This is a much better physique than he could achieve at 16. Could he have stayed natural and eventually got it 10 years later? Probably. But you can't just say that and have that as a motivational tool to have somebody not tap on. Oh, it's possible to do that natural. Yep. Yeah, okay. In 6 years, if I train my ass off, I have great genetics, maybe I could do it. I want to do it in 6 months. The advice doesn't help. Awesome, bro. Finally, someone telling the truth. Just because you tell the truth, it doesn't make you a good influencer, a good role model, or a good person. How does that make him special? He had no choice to tell the truth. If he lied, everyone's going to say, you are a fake natty. And so how are we giving brownie points or some kind of morality for being honest about doing something that is excessively obvious? No, you don't get brownie points. You get brownie points if you're natural. He's 16 years old and says, you know what? I want to take steroids because I followed the Tren twins, Sam Sulek, Chris Bumstead, and I want that physique, but I'm not going to do it. I watched Coach Greg videos and he said I should wait. Now, I'm going to wait as long as I can. That is something that you should be admired for waiting. It's the same thing as this. People say, I would never cheat on my wife. I would never cheat on my girlfriend. I have such better morals than you. Says the guy who's ugly and not a single girl ever flirts with him ever. Damn! You're such a great human being because you don't cheat when you have absolutely zero opportunity to do so. Bragging about your morality because you don't have the opportunity to ever be bad, what does that even mean? And so stop with the virtue signaling already. Guys, why does my creatine taste a little weird? Are you freaking kidding me? He's got a bottle of Tren in there. He's bragging about this in a video. He's got a bottle of Tren, bottle of Test. hidden in his creatine. Perhaps because when you're living with your parents, you don't want them to discover your bottle of Tren and test because they might take it. I'm sure there's a lot of teenagers out there hiding their alcohol, their marijuana, whatever drugs that they're doing, and they don't want their parents to find it. And so they're hiding it in their creatine. This is on Instagram. People can see it. He's bragging about using steroids. And so the number one comment here I'm reading, look natural. Let's analyze what that would do. Okay, and so he's 16 years old, he's taking steroids, and the number one comment he sees is you look natural. What do you think that encourages him to do? Well, I better take even more. Try to put yourself in their shoes. Can you not think like a child, a 16-year-old, and think, what message is this creating? So the more you scroll on social media, the worse it's going to get. People on social media, they don't give a shit. Somebody gets in a bike accident, paralyzed. Comments can be, you deserved it. You're on a bicycle. Imagine if it was your brother or your sister, your mom or your dad. Yeah, they shouldn't be speeding, but just because you're speeding, you don't cheer for their demise. Normalize pinning in the gym. Why don't we normalize being natural? Why don't we normalize that using Tren at 16 is not the way? Why don't we normalize that Togi should not be the influence of our youth?
This is a problem. This is a massive problem.
He's in the middle of the gym with a vial and a needle. And this is allowed on Instagram, yet I get kicked off of TikTok and I get shadow casted, shadow banned, whatever on Instagram. And frankly, I don't care if this kid is 26, 36. I've never been at the gym with a vial and a needle and shown a video and tried to glorify drug use. This is glorifying drug use. And in many countries, it's illegal. If he's in the United States, steroids are not legal. It's Canada, it's legal. But you're not going to sit there in the middle of the gym and use it in front of everyone. And so the number one comment is not too late to delete this kid. I don't know if he means delete the video kid or delete the kid itself. Like, if this kid in general was not on social media, it would be a net positive to social media. He shouldn't be allowed to do this. Now, of course, everyone can make mistakes. We don't know if it's his parents' fault, his group of friends, whatever, but it's not too late. He can stop. Now, he might end up needing to be on HRT, might have all kinds of problems, shorten his life and so on, but we have to give him a chance. Perhaps he'll see this video and he'll reconsider his actions. And in the words of Joey Swole,
you need to do better.
Gear to bench 2 plates for reps. He's 16. Not many 16-year-olds can bench press 225 for a single rep. It's very impressive he was doing it with ease. Most people at 16 would need steroids to do this exact very thing. And to have this physique, it's very rare. There are many people who are in their 20s, 26 years old, training 10 years, who cannot easily bench press 225 for several reps. Taking gear to max out at 5 reps of 2 plates is wild. He's 16. He probably just started the steroids. In a year, he'll be doing 3 plates, and then 4, perhaps someday even 5. And then he'll have horrific acne. His balls will be smaller, his liver, kidneys, it'll be a mess. It's probably going to have an enlarged heart. He's going to end up with horrendous blood work and take off 20 years from his life. It's not a big deal. I need to really impress that stranger from Bangladesh that wrote in the comment section that 225 for 5 isn't impressive at 16. You need to stop caring about what people think. The people who are in the comment sections, they're not your friends. Your friends are your friends. Ask your friends. And if your friends think it's cool to abuse steroids at 16, find new friends. Make sense? Where did you get the gear? And so we have people trying to source gear, trying to buy steroids at 16. Remember, you're too young to use steroids at 16. Do not try to buy steroids at 16. And someone tries to call him out. You're not 16, bro. Probably doesn't believe him because he has that much muscle. But remember, steroids can often make you look older, both physically in your face and in your body. It can kind of age you per se. And so his next post, 7-month gear transformation. And so you can see he had a little bit more body fat, well over 20% body fat, still had a decent amount of muscle. And you can see he dieted down significantly. And so he took steroids for 7 months, lost a heck of a lot of body fat, and perhaps even put on some muscle at the same time. And in order to get this kind of transformation, he would have had to have been in a severe calorie deficit. He's likely sitting at single-digit body fat, and so very difficult to put on muscle. I believe he could have a much better physique if he was not trying to be so lean. The pressures of social media to have a clearly defined six-pack, to be this lean. Remember, he's not even competing. He's essentially using steroids to cover or mask the fact that he's not eating enough calories. If he had a calorie surplus, a little bit over maintenance, he could put on more muscle. Bro is very, very lean. Perhaps he's at 8% body fat, perhaps 9%. I can't tell. You don't see his legs. And so it says, worth it. What was the stack? And so this is why it's not worth it. And I want you to understand this. Once you move the goalpost, you have to move it again. It's never going to go back. If he had stopped to cut 10 pounds shy of this, he would have felt amazing. But once you get down to, say, 8% body fat, and then he goes back to, say, 12% body fat, he's going to feel fat at 12. Once you use steroids and you feel the feeling of those steroids, it's very difficult to stop using them because you're going to remember how strong you were, how much muscle you could put on, the pumps you were getting. And so it's hard to go and train back as normal. And so if you use steroids at 16 and you decide to someday quit, you're likely never going to enjoy powerlifting, bodybuilding ever the same. It'll never be the same again. It's like having sexy time without a condom and then putting it on after that. It's not going to be the same. And so my advice, don't get on steroids in the first place and don't diet to 8% body fat for no reason when you're 16. You don't need to do this. Nice. I love to worship young, big, muscular guys. You are the perfect alpha male. And so PDF files, you're going to get guys like that. This is who you're going to attract. You don't need to have 8% body fat to attract a girl. And in fact, most are going to say, you know, this is too lean. And so 10 to 12% body fat, that's a good range for the highly aesthetic, highly motivated people who are in their 20s. But for teenagers, it's so far below what's healthy. I mean, do y'all remember Tristan Lee? How did that turn out? Tristan Lee was on the carnivore diet. He was starving himself. He ended up with body dysmorphia. Do anyone think he's actually natural at this point? This is not good. He's not ready. 16 years old, 500 test, 80 Tren, 50 milligrams of Anavar. He's on his second cycle, and he's added in 80 milligrams of Tren. Tren puts on about 3 times as much muscle as test. So 80 milligrams of Tren, it's going to put on about the same amount of muscle as 240 milligrams of test. It also messes with your mind. If you don't believe me, just look at Mike Isertel. Look at the videos that he's made. He talks about it. The anger, the irritability, the aggression, the anxiety. Remember, I've used these performance-enhancing drugs, but I was in my 30s and 40s. This guy is 16. This cycle, it's too strong. 80 milligrams of Tren at 60, it's just no. For no reason ever should you be on Tren as a teenager. I mean, even if you're going to say it's okay to use steroids, not Tren. No.
Stop it! Stop being a moron!
Now, here's the thing. Even if he had a much worse physique than this, and even if he were 26 and he took steroids, and somebody said, all those steroids just to look like that. That also really bothers me, and here's why. Most people who took steroids are not professional bodybuilders. They're not even aspiring bodybuilders. They're just guys that want to look average. People just want to fit in. They want to feel normal. They want to go to the beach and take their shirt off and not have everyone make fun of them. The majority of people who use steroids are below average. And you're thinking, no, they all look amazing. They're all crazy. The truth is they just want to feel normal. They want to be seen. They want to fit in. They want to get a girlfriend. They want to be looked at for once in their life. And so if you go to the gym and you look around, you're going to see, oh, those two guys, they're definitely on steroids. That girl, definitely on steroids. But the rest of the people, they look natural. But yet many of them, they are not. And so, for example, when you look at the bikini competition, the girls competing in bikini, most of them are on steroids. They look natural, but they're on steroids. They're not on such high doses that they're perhaps growing a mustache or having a beard or balding. But if you take too many steroids, you're going to be in the audience saying, "Go, David! Go, David!" Slowly you transition. When you add steroids as a female, you slowly start turning into a man. And so for the men, a lot of them are on the dad cycle. They're just on lower doses. Perhaps it's a couple hundred milligrams of test, some Anavar and so on, and they just want to get a bit of an advantage. Maybe they want to put on 10, 15 pounds of muscle. Just because you're on steroids, you're not going to look like Eric Janicki. You're not going to turn into Chris Bumstead. You're probably not even going to look like me. Can I take Tren, Anavar, and test in my first cycle? His response, yeah. I mean, technically, you can do anything you want as long as you're not breaking the law, but should you? And so, can you take Tren in your first cycle? You could, but no one should. Does that make sense? You can, but you shouldn't. At 16, you shouldn't even be taking Turk Builder Max and GO2 Max. This is for when you get older, when you're an adult. I certainly hope that anyone who's out there contemplating using performance enhancing drugs will at least try to use natural supplements first and see how they work. As long as you're making gains, bodybuilding is fun. As long as you're improving. And when you're 16, you haven't hit your natural genetic limit. And so keep training natural. Enjoy the journey. Remember, if you really love bodybuilding, you'll love it enough to not take the drugs that you know you could take to help you win. Wait. You love it. You love the process, the journey, the training, the challenge. That's what it's all about. Taking steroids is a shortcut, and it can and will dramatically shorten your life. It's not worth it. Once you've started taking it, very hard to go back. Even for myself, I'm 49. It's hard to go to the gym and remember how you once were. I just watched the Toronto Pro Qualifier, watched Eric Janicki get 4th in the pro men's bodybuilding category, and I watched all the amateurs. Watched both shows. And I remember the joy, the feeling of being up on these stages, and it's fun. But you also remember, I remember taking steroids at very high doses and making significant gains. But with all good things, it comes to an end. And so it's hard to train as hard as you once were when you're no longer as big and as strong and getting the same pumps as you once had. And so thankfully, I have Turk Builder Max and I have GO2 Max and I have the amazing pre-workout, the getting Blue Lobster before. And so it's still fun, but steroids is more fun. Not gonna lie, it's more fun, but you can't do it forever. And so my suggestion is don't do it in the first place. And if you're still making gains, it's still gonna be fun. Save it for later, if ever. Interested in coaching? Apply by clicking the link in the description. Remember, code Greg for 15% off on all the supplements. And so to you, young man, I say this: astaghfirullah, you need to do better. Subscribe, click the bell button, comment to boost the algorithm. Please like the video if you liked it. Don't forget to watch one of those 2 bloops. And of course, the cookbooks, the training books, coaching plans by me and my team, the Harder Than Last Time clothing line. Get all of this on the website. Code Greg, 15% off. And until next time, I am out.